Guys, I am Master RKO, and today I'm bringing you a brand new video. Now, this video may be a little bit different, and what I mean by that is we have a new game that has just come out. Not really just come out, it came out about a month ago, and it's called Smite, and that's what you see on your screen. Now, if I sound a little bit different, it's because I got my new Astro A40s, so that's fantastic, but also it's because the mic's a little bit closer, so I might sound a little bit different to you. But anyways, this is basically an intro to Smite. Now, if you haven't played Smite, Smite is originally on the computer. It is a MOBA. And basically what a MOBA is, if you don't want to get into the technical terms of it, is it's basically a strategy game. Usually involves objectives, and conquering those objectives lead to farther and farther objectives and end up in an opponent's base one way or another. Eventually conquering the other opponent's base. Usually it's 5-on-5, sometimes it's 3v3. You can do 1v1s as well. And they involve different items, different buffs, which are things that help you, nerfs, which are things that hurt you and stuff like that. But before we get into all that, I figured I would just go ahead and give you guys the basics. So what you see here is this is all the list of gods you can play. Now, you have the ones that are owned, which you start off with all the ones except for, I want to say, I know you start with these three down here, and then you also start with this one. So I think you start with 4. Maybe I'm wrong, you might also start with Guan Yu as well. But the rest you have to buy, and you purchase them through favor, which, as you see in the bottom right hand corner, that is the top thing, or the green diamond, is gems. Now you earn that through, usually you can buy them, or if you log in every single day, you'll get a login bonus. And then favor is below it. You earn through matches, through completing objectives, through mastering your gods. If you play with one god more often than not, you will master your god, get more favor that way, as well as if you play a lot of matches, you're a good sport about it, you'll get a higher percentage of favor, and that helps you buy gods. So basically you can come in here, and as you can see, some of these are more gray out. Like you see Ymir is bright, but you come in here and you see Sylvanas, which is right beside him, or Sobek, and they're darkened out, and they have a 200 by the green, which means you can get him for 200 gems or 5,500 favor, which, if you play enough, isn't really that hard to receive. And as you do that, you can keep buying stuff, and once you get enough gods and get your player level up, which you see in the bottom left hand corner, your player level, once that hits 30 and you get enough gods, you can then play in the league. Now, I accidentally hit help, so I'm going to go ahead and unsnap that. And basically what the league is, as you can see, league is not available right now. This game is in beta. So basically what league is it's a competitive side of things. Usually it's conquest. Everyone knows their lanes. There's a meta that you play by, and it's very, very like strict rules, and you know what you can do, but you have to have picks and bans. So when you play League, you have to have a certain amount of gods before you can do it, because you have to have enough to where they can ban stuff and you still have enough to pick. Versus is exactly what you think. It's player versus player. Right now, because it's in beta, there's Arena, which is 5 versus 5. You're in a circular wide, as the game mode says, arena, and there's no main objective. You basically want to keep the tiny minions from getting from one side of the arena to the other, as well as you want to just kill the other people the most. That's what that's about. Then there's Siege, and Siege is 4 versus 4. It's 2 different lanes, and a lane is an open route or a basic lane that people can go through. And Conquest is 3 lanes. That's your normal 3 lane. You have the middle one, the left one, and the right one. Now, Siege is 2 lanes, and the thing about it is it's just like Conquest, where you have towers that you destroy, phoenixes that you destroy, and stuff like that, which I'll get into when we get into the main game. But there's also a siege monster in the middle of it. And basically what the siege monster does is it creates a siege, like the siege robot thing. I really don't really know how to describe it unless I'll show you guys in a gameplay eventually. But basically what it does is you have this siege thing and it just completely just bulldozes over towers. You can use it to push people back, and it's a great way to flip the tide in your favor when you're playing it. And that's the difference with Siege. Now with Joust, Joust is a game mode that I play more often. It's really fun to play with friends. It's one single lane with 2 side lanes. You have your buffs and stuff, whereas Siege you don't have your main stuff, which again I'll get into later. But with Joust, it's just one main lane, and it's 3 versus 3 head to head the whole time. So it's basically there's no like, oh well, you can really like use your knowledge of a map or something. Like if your conquest knowledge is really well, you can usually outplay someone even if you're a little bit off or behind. Joust is more of a way of it's straight on head to head. You got to know your items, you have to know your stuff, and you're face to face with your opponent. Only way you can really outplay them is if maybe you get different items, maybe you level up, or as usual you get more kills on that. So those are your 3 verses. Now that's player versus player. If you're just beginning in the game, like for the people who may be watching this video, you may want to start in co-op. Co-op is you play the exact same game modes, except instead of having Siege, Conquest is in here. It's the main game mode that everyone plays. You'll play it in League, and eventually they will unlock it after the beta's done. Now, what Conquest does for co-op is it puts you against bots. Now, if you're used to MOBAs, the bots themselves aren't really the best. If you're used to MOBAs and everything, you can really just steamroll, like just destroy bots. But if you're really new and maybe it's your first time playing it, even if it's on PC, you can learn some stuff through it. It's just a way to get at the hang of the game, basically. And that's what co-op is. It's for people who maybe haven't gotten the hang of it, or maybe want to try something and they don't want to risk causing their team to lose because of it, and creating a bad experience for everyone else. And then there's practice, which is what I'm going to start in today. Practice is basically you just go in alone. You can have a controlled amount of enemies. You can practice 1v1. They haven't added an odd number of enemies yet, which I don't like, because sometimes I like to actually practice 1v2 just in case, someone leaves or something. I like to be able to be, prepared for that. So I'm actually going to go into jungle now. We'll wait for this to finish, and then I will explain everything else. So as you can see, there's a timer. In practice, you can actually practice with all of the gods. They're all usually unlocked, or maybe it's just because it's the weekend. Not exactly sure. Usually on the weekends, all the gods are unlocked, so you can try them there if you're new to this, and maybe you want to try everything. Just play on the weekends. That's a good way to start. But as you can see, the lightning bolts underneath some of these gods, those are mastered. The more you play a god, the more experience you get, and it's kind of like you level them up. And the more you level them up, the higher favor you can get with them, and you can unlock special skins if you master them enough and stuff like that, which is very, very handy. It's cool, and it's something that can set you apart from everyone else. Now, I'm going to go ahead and go in with Loki, because he is basically my favorite and usually my best god to play with. And I'm just going to go through the jungle, go through some of the steps, and show you guys the basics of what to do with this. And I'm going to take a drink of Coca-Cola while I'm waiting on this. And now you can see the one by my character, that's the level. You can keep leveling up. I think once you get to level 5, where you see like the small white border around everything, there'll be like a bronze-ish. And then the higher up you go, the more stuff you get. Now, as you can see, you have your skills to the right side. Now, it depends on your controller layout, because most people, if you go into here, play on this controller layout. This is your default layout. I personally choose not to play that. Scott Gandhi, if you've ever heard of him, old Halo player, works for Hi-Rez now. He designed this controller layout. He calls it the Savage layout. That's just his thing. But this is what I use. I use this personally. Only problem is there's a bug door you can't say no to surrendering, but that's pretty much it. Everything else about it's perfectly fine. But if you want, right here, you can pause the video, view this. I'll go back to this one and let you look at that one some more as well, and I'll just go on to each one of these. So if you guys want to maybe pause the video or possibly just take a second glance at something, I'll let you guys look at some of these. And there's the fourth one. So we're going to go back to this final layout. And as you can see, you start off in most things with a level. Now, each level has different abilities, and I can go in here and show you every god has 4 major abilities. Now, they vary, so usually you want to go in before you play any god and you want to read up. You want to make sure that you know what your god does before you even go in anywhere in the map. Because if you go into a map, you don't know what your god does, you're just pressing buttons, and then bad things happen to bad people. So these are the 4 abilities that I have. The one is a Vanish. This is for Loki. If you want to start with a, like, you have to buy Loki, but I like him just because he's very stealthy. Whenever you play as Loki, everyone that's around you gets that sense of, where's Loki? Where's he at? Where's he coming from? So, I love characters like that make people, everyone's wondering where you're at. So Loki's first ability is a Vanish. Now what the Vanish does is as you can see on the reading there, I move faster when I go invisible. You go completely invisible for enemies, they can't see you at all. You move faster, and it also removes and gains immunity to slow effects. So if you have some kind of a slow on you, someone uses something that slows you down, it'll remove it, as well as if you're using it and someone tries to put one on you, it won't do it. As well as when you're invisible, you also take 25% less of your damage, which is a fantastic thing to have, especially with a god that may not have the best defense starting out. It's something that's good that you have something that will maybe help you not take as much damage. As well as you also get a higher attack speed as well as damage when you use it, which is fantastic. So I'll go ahead, pop in here. Now if you're in the jungle, you want to see what your abilities are, you can just hop in here. This will give you levels. I want to do this 4 times or 5 times so I can get to the level. Now when you're in game, every time you level, you'll be able to see up in the top left hand corner, you'll see there's a 6 there. Now that 6 is my current level, and above it there will usually be a yellow bar. The more you play, the more you get kills, the more you farm minions and stuff like that, you will get a level. You'll keep leveling up, and as you can see there, it told me to not leave base without items, but I don't care because swag. So the first thing, if I can find it, well actually I'll go ahead and buy items, why not? So the first thing you want to do before you leave base, now usually base doesn't look like this, but in the jungle practice thing, it does. So usually you will hit the left directional button on your controller, and it'll pop up this. Now, I remember the first time I played, I saw stuff like, well, let me see if grid works. I play with the grid because it's easier to see everything, and it's actually working today. But the first time I saw something like this, I was so confused. I didn't know what to buy. I literally cried. Not really, but you see all this, and you have no idea what you're going to buy, what to do. And when it comes down to, like, I think I started in League of Legends before I started in Smite, and I just saw a bunch of teammates getting mad at me because I didn't know what I was doing. So what you really want to do is, if you're starting, especially in this game in general, but if you're playing with a new god or anything, go to the recommended page. And the recommended page is really all you need for the whole entire game, especially if you're new. You can kind of sort down and look and see, okay, well, there's my starter stuff, and that's stuff you want to buy at the beginning of the game. Bumba's Mask is something for conquest. It helps you do attack damage, and your abilities do damage versus jungle camps and stuff, which we'll get to those later. It helps you heal after you do a camp, which again really helps when you're in the jungle. And also, if you have an ally help you with one of those camps, it gives you the same amount of gold as if you did it yourself. Hand of the Gods, or as most people will call it, Hog, like oink oink. This just helps you with camps in general. The more you level it up, the better it does. Hand of the Gods 3 lets you get hit by... It lets you hit objectives and pets, whereas Fist of the Gods, if you go into it, lets you stun enemies around it as well as other stuff. So, you know, if you're in a team fight, you might want Fist over Hog. But we'll get into that in a different video. You have your boots, which you always want to buy. Boots is your number one thing, because movement speed is a very, very harsh mistress in this game. Because if you start off with, if you're really slow, you're not getting to your place quick enough, the other person is getting there before you. And a lot of this is about timing, and it's about outplaying your opposite. Usually in a game of Smite, you will have your side and their side, and each team has their own players, play styles, and I guess what you could call it is the meta, or the way everyone plays the game. So let's say I could be a what people call jungler. I roam in the jungle all the time. The other team also has a jungler, and if I'm doing better than their jungler, I'm helping my team out, and vice versa. So if you're coming in, and let's say I have this, which I'm going to buy, that gives me 18% movement speed, 15 physical penetration, which helps with armor. If people are building up armor or health, it helps me cut that down. Let's say I have that, the other person doesn't. I'm doing more damage and moving faster than that other person, which means I'm getting to camps quicker, I'm getting to lanes quicker, and I'm doing more damage than the other people if we maybe get into a fight. So boots is one of the very first things that you want to buy, if anything. Now, the second thing that you want to worry about are actives. You can go with different things, but these are the three mains that people buy, and I mean everyone. Hog is for if you're really one of those people that are always going after camps, you want Hog. The Greater Purification helps you helps with cooldowns, so your abilities don't take as long to come back up, as well as it helps any kind of CC or crowd control, which means anything that's causing everyone to be stunned or causing other teams to make your team not be able to attack them. It helps cool that down as well. And then, of course, Greater Sprint, which kind of describes itself. You use it, it helps you sprint for a certain amount of time. So those are a couple things that you usually want to buy starting out in a game. Now, when you first start out in the game, I want to see if I can find it. I don't remember where it's at. Nope, it's not that. Nope, it's not that. It's this one. This is kind of how your lane and something like this. Your basic look of everything is like this. You'll have minions in front of you. You'll be, you know, seeing minions attack each other. These are called minions. And your job is basically to help your minions get to their minions. So attacking them, killing them, gives you gold, which gold then in return starts with items. Now you don't earn gold all the time, and you don't start with as much gold as I did. You normally start with about 1,500, and your items that you start with are limited. So in a later video, I will be able to show you the stuff that you kind of start with and the way that is. But as you can see, there's different routes and stuff here, which I don't know why they bothered with this or anything. But the way minions work is pretty simple. As long as you're behind them, they focus minions first. The minions focus minions, and then I don't think there's towers in this. No. But they'll focus a tower, and then they'll focus you. So as long as you're behind here, they will not focus you. Even if you get here, they're not going to focus you until you hit them. Once you hit them, they'll kind of focus you. Not really, usually. But the more you do that, the higher up, and as you can see, my orange bar is going up because I'm attacking minions. I'm leveling up, and that's usually how every game starts. And the faster you can kill your minions, the more they will push up, and you can get to other people's towers. And different people have their attack speeds, and as you can see, they're hurting me. And they do a lot of damage early on. So you want to make sure that, you know, you're staying behind your minions, doing whatever, leveling up. And as you can see, every level that I have, I'm putting those levels into my abilities. So let's wait for these, and I'll show you some of these abilities. So of course, like I said, my first ability is a Vanish. And what that does is, if these minions decide they want to respawn... Nope, I'll use it anyway. Okay, there they go. So, minions respawning, and let's say these guys are attacking me. Oh no, I'm getting hurt. I can hit my button, bam, I vanish, I move faster. I can get out of the way, sneak behind them, attack, and as you can see, my attacks were a little bit different there for a couple seconds, and then I'm out. Now, we'll step back for a little bit, and like I said, second ability is a decoy. Now, the decoy, it spawns something like me, it takes a certain amount of damage, and it explodes after a while. Now I'll show you the decoy. As you can see, it shows you where you want to place it. Now you can choose not to do this. There are 3 different settings for buttons. You can pick on which one you want. I like to be able to aim my stuff first. If you choose either quick casting, which is where you just hold it in and then let go and it casts, or wait, that's normal. Quick casting is where you just hit the button and it does it. Sometimes you can off aim yourself. Now what the decoy does for Loki is it pops up and everything focuses him. It can also take a certain amount of player damage, so if your enemies start hitting it, it can do that as well. And it's really Loki's way of farming or killing minions all the time. Now, like, that's his second ability. His third ability, I don't really use as much because usually there's not much of a situation to use it in. And it's basically letting my attacks do extra damage. If I hit my third button, he pops up in the air, now his blades glow, and I do extra damage. And as you can see there, I don't know if you can see it on the screen, but it's doing a certain amount of damage. And then, of course, there's your ultimate. Now, your ultimate is it's the strongest move that you can use. It's got the highest cooldown. It takes 90 seconds before you can use it again. Now, every character has their own specific ultimate, and it's usually used in a certain way. Some of them are automatic. You can't just choose to back out of it like most of them. Like if I do that, I can hit my B button and back out of it. Like that's my back out button. Some people, you just hit it and you're along for the ride, so just get ready. So I want to come over here. This is Ra. This is one of the gods that you always start off with if you ever practice against someone. And he is going to start hurting me. What I can do with my ultimate is an assassinate. I completely missed it, so I might die. Nope, but I'll just show you a combat scenario. So Ra's hitting me. It hurts. Vanish. He lost me. Come behind him. And one of Loki's special abilities is whenever he hits from behind, he does an extra damage, as well as he creates a bleed effect. And the bleed effect is basically, you know, they receive a little bit of extra damage over time until so on and so forth, and it ends. So as you can see, I can keep using this. He loses me, and I can keep doing this, and I might be able to just go ahead and kill him. There we go. As you see, there's a kill, and I get more gold for killing him, as well as, you know, other stuff. So let's go back and buy some more stuff, and we'll get into the items and stuff for him. So different stuff you can buy. I might start doing god guides for items and stuff eventually, but until then I'll just show you some of the stuff that I use. So I use this. Certain items stack, and it shows you on the bottom. Usually all you have to do is read what the items do. You can get a good look of what they do. So stacks usually help out a lot, especially if they're, as you can see, it says on the bottom, 2 stacks for a god kill, 1 stack for a minion kill. Over time that gets to 50 stacks. It helps me with physical power, movement speed, and then I get 1 more power for every stack that I have. So I usually buy that. So that's speed. You of course need power, or else you're just going to be tickling people. So one thing that I buy for Loki is, of course, that, and that's a very these two right here, Jotun's Wrath and Titan's Bane, are a very, very big. They're something that's bought almost with everybody. Same with Deathbringer and Malice. Those two are two things that are always bought. This one gives you a critical chance, and a crit is something that every once in a while you'll hit someone, it'll do extra damage. Usually it's double. It just helps give you more crit chance. Let's see. I'll just stick with the starter stuff. Here's something that helps with attack speed. Loki is melee, so you want to be able to hit really fast. And just because, we'll do some defense. We'll put on... I never use this, so we'll put that on because I can. So we're just going to go around and look at some of the extra stuff. Now, here is... this is called blue buff. Now, what blue buff is it's a mana buff. The blue bar, you see at the bottom, I have a green bar and a blue bar. Green bar is my health. So as you can see, I come up here, hit them, they start hitting me, my green bar goes down. You can usually get stuff that's called life steal. If you hit something, it takes their life, adds it to your health, blah, blah, blah. The blue bar is mana, and for every ability I use, as you can see, if I hit this, it uses some of that blue bar. Now, what blue buff does, if I come over here... Actually, before I do that, I will buy Hand of the Gods to show you what that does and why it's useful. Because in your items, I'll go ahead and go over this now. In your items, you can have 6 items, as you can see down in the bottom left. 2 actives, which are like your Hand of the Gods and your speed boost, and there's more. There's all of these that you can look over. Wards, which give you vision because you can't see everywhere, and stuff like that. We'll get into that in a different video, of course. And so we'll go ahead and buy full Hand of the Gods. Now, not every... I'll go ahead and throw this out there as a disclaimer. When you start off, all of these abilities will have, as you can see, some of these have 3 levels. So as you see, this has 3 levels. When you start off in a normal game, you can only buy what you can afford. So if you only have 300 gold, you can only afford that. You have to wait until you get that to buy it. So let's say, oh, I want this. I want the 900. Well, if I buy this, as you can see now, it lowers that price. When I buy that, oh look, it lowered it again. So every time you buy something, it lowers the price again, so you can kind of just move on up the ladder instead of just waiting and waiting and waiting, and then that usually helps as well. So, anyways, all blue buff. So, where was I at? Blue buff. Alright, so we'll come over here, use this, we'll get behind them, why not? As you can see, I'm doing a lot of damage now. I have all of my skills, and then, oh man, well, my teammates are coming, and I need to help them, bam, and that just comes down, and that was the Hand of the Gods, and that helps you. And now what blue buff is going to do, after it helps me, is it's actually going to help my mana rise. It will help, and that's pretty much over time. So I don't have to worry about items too much if I'm a character that every single time is just blue buff, blue buff, blue buff, blue buff, blue buff, which some with Loki you're not going to do that to. Some gods that you have, you will every single time go get blue buff. It helps you not have to waste your gold on items that are mana dependent. Even if you have a passive, which is one more thing that I want to go ahead and touch on real quick. Every god has a passive or an ability that doesn't really do damage, but it helps you. Now, what Loki's is it deals more damage from his basic attacks when hitting enemies from behind, which is what I was talking about earlier. And also, he has a 5-swing chain, so most gods have like 1 or 2 different types of attacks. They just swing, 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 or they just shoot an arrow or do magic or whatever. Loki has his 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so he has different attacks, whatever. That's part of his passive. So, you know, certain passives and stuff that you can buy, even with actives or whatever, can help you with mana. You don't have to waste anything on it, as well as, you know, different stuff. So, anyways, back to the buffs. So you have blue buff, which of course does mana. So your mana always goes up. It's got a certain time limit. As you can see on the bottom, it's at 30 seconds. After a while, it will run out, and they die, and they take a while to come back up. I don't think these do because it's an automatic spawner. Then there's this, which is speed buff. Now, speed buff, of course, does what you think it's going to do. Your character moves faster around the map. You can only have one buff at a time. As you can see, I can't pick one up. So a good thing to do is, hey, buddy, you want to move faster? I'll kill that buff for you so you can have it. You know, be a nice guy. Don't be that guy. Don't be a something. I don't know. Anyways, so the last buff, I guess, is the damage buff, or the red buff. And of course, it does what you think it would do. It helps your damage go up, and that's pretty much it. I wish it, you know, different stuff, but I'll go ahead and pick it up now. So your basic attacks and every other attack will do more damage over time. Which, you know, can be very helpful. And if your team gets damage buff but the other team doesn't get it, it will help you out, because even if you're on an even playing field, or even if you're down, sometimes it can help you. Now, there are two major objectives on each conquest map. They're not on every map. And as you can see them, I'll do it here. You have the Gold Fury, which gives you gold. It gives you extra gold. I don't remember how much exactly, but I want to see if I can do this. I'm probably going to die. I don't know how much that gave me, TBH. But anyway, so there's that, and then that gives you gold, and then there's the Fire Giant. Now, the Fire Giant is an insanely strong, I guess, buff, and it gives your team, it's almost double damage, but it gives you a bunch of other stuff, too. You used to be able to, like, 1v1 it back when the game first came out, and I'm going to do this and die, but I'm going to do it for you guys. So let's see if I can 1v1 the Fire Giant. Let's be real, it's not happening. I have my ult. That didn't work. I am dying. I'm out. But as you can see, yeah, you cannot 1v1 the Fire Giant. It is very, very strong. You literally need at least 3 people to take it on, and then usually you need more than that. But every time you leave a buff area, he will regain its health, as you can see, so that's kind of a pain. And I'm going to go back and heal before I die. So even with the buff, with all my items, with my levels, yeah, you can't beat him. And then over here is the minion thing again. And then the final stage that you really have to worry about is player versus player. Everything has their one person. You can usually, once you get a certain level, because I don't think he gains levels, you can really just take people out and, you know, get your used to different gods. Again, this isn't even like the whole shebang of it all, which is something that we will in fact get into in later videos, is, you know, the whole thing, the conquest maps, the siege maps, the joust maps, everything. So you know, and the strategy of it all, and different god things, and what you can use and what you can't use, what you should use, what you shouldn't use, blah 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 blah, different stuff. Those are all for different videos. But this is the main jungle area. If you're new to Smite, or even MOBAs in general, you should definitely come in here before you play any other game mode whatsoever. Even if it's just co-op, you definitely want to come in here first. If you're brand new to it, you don't really understand it too much, or you're in a place where you think you know stuff, but because it's a new game or it's something different, you don't know it completely, definitely come in here, view everything, look at all the stuff that you can do. Every time you come in here, you get a level, so you can practice leveling your stuff up. And remember, every single time you level, don't forget on the right side you want to level up your stuff, because every single time you level up your stuff, it gets stronger and stronger and stronger until you hit level 20. Level 20 is your max thing. As you can see, I'm swinging to win now. I'm going crazy fast. Ain't nobody can touch me. That's not true. And I guess the bot does level up with you. I didn't actually recognize that. I'll go ahead and use the other active. As you can see, that's what it looks like. Only lasts for 2 seconds, but it's definitely useful. Let me see if there's anything I have missed before I heads out. I honestly don't think so. I think that's everything that I covered for basic stuff. And anyways, controls, right trigger is mainly to auto attack. My attacks are left trigger is my first ability, left bumper is my second, right bumper is my third, and Y is my ultimate. That's just my configuration. If you want to use different configurations, that's perfectly fine as well. But I definitely think that is about it for the very basics. Again, when you're very first starting out, if there was any real advice, when you're very first starting out, buy a boots. If you want to write this down, go ahead. I'll wait for you to pen. I'll take another sip of drink. Got it? Alright. So, step 1. Buy boots. Even if it's level 1 down here. I mean, you could sell stuff later if you don't want it and you think it's going to hinder you. Step 1. Buy boots. Step 2. Either buy an active, a starter item besides your boots, or worry about buffs and farming until you get enough gold to do it. Step 2, or wait, 3. I'm confusing myself. Step 3, after farming, worry about what the other teammates are doing. You can look at what the other teammates are doing. So if you actually hold in the select button, you could see what the other players are building. You could see how much gold the other team has, what their records are, who's carrying, who's feeding. Feeding is getting killed a lot of times by the other team. And kind of just see what maybe you need to change or what they're doing. If someone's building tanky, which means they're building a lot of health and armor, maybe you need to build penetration to penetrate that armor or other stuff. Winky face. If they're a mage, which is someone who does magical range, they shoot orbs and stuff, and they're building a lot of that, maybe you need magical protection. If they're building, let's say like me, I'm melee, I'm a lot of physical, up in your face. If I'm destroying you like I did Raw, maybe you need to build physical protection and get some beefy armor and stuff. Which is you can read all your stuff about that too. A lot of it's just reading and stuff. If you read what your abilities do and everything, after you know what your enemy gods are doing, and if you start to get an edge up on them, you want to attack the tower. But one major thing before you attack a tower: let your minions hit the tower first. The tower hurts a lot. So like I said over here, minions attack stuff first, but towers act the same way. So let's say those minions are towers and they're not attacking me because they're focused on the minions. But let's say this minion dies, which I think they're going to kill each other at the same time, so I'm not going to get the chance to do it. Die already! Yeah, they're going to kill each other. And bam. Well. But same way with minions. If you're in the tower area and there's no minions around, the tower is going to attack you, and the tower will kill you. Phoenixes are not on this, which is the second stage of things. They're stronger. They will spawn super minions, which I can't really do on this one, so that's always fun. And then there's Titans, which end the game. Another thing is, as you can see in the top left-hand corner there, the boots are actually flashing now. What that means is whenever you have enough gold to upgrade an item that will flash, just come back to the store. The store is the only way you can buy stuff. It's in your base. You'll heal here. You can gain mana here. You can find where it's at, see how much each costs, see what you can buy, and upgrade to the fullest point. So you got all that down. And I would say if there was any starter advice besides any of that, I would say don't chase kills. Um, you know, if you see someone and he's faster than you, but you almost have him dead, don't chase him under a tower. Don't get led into the woods. Chances are you're going to be in a bad neighborhood and you're going to have some super fun there. Not really. So just pick your fights. It's all strategy and it's all a learning process, which we'll definitely get into later. But those are basically the starting stuff. I will go ahead and end the game and show you the very last bit of the menu, and then we will go ahead and finish off el video. So different gods and types. So your basic stuff is you have your melee, which is your hammer, your ground and pound, whatever. You have your your mage, which is ranged. You have your hunters, which are also ranged, stuff like that, and guardians, which are very tough and beefy. They have a lot of armor. And warriors, which are your also melee, but the warriors usually have some ranged attacks themselves. So you have all these gods that you can choose from, and there's a lot of them. So just find out who you want, what you want. These are the ones that I have owned right now, just to play different things. Getting used to all the main stuff. So I will definitely be worrying about that in other videos, and then they always add gods and stuff like that, and it's always a good time. So if you ever get a beta code or you feel like buying the game when it eventually comes out, which should be very soon, you definitely should. And I think that's actually gonna do it for this brief, not really brief, that took forever, intro to Smite. There's a bunch of different stuff to it, and I will definitely be posting different videos on it, and hopefully some gameplays as well. So I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, click the like button below, leave a comment if there's maybe some gods that you might want to see, or a gameplay of something, or maybe some tips or tricks that you'd like to know. That would be fantastic as well. Before we end this video, I'd just like to say, this channel's been a lot of Call of Duty lately, especially since with competitive and all that stuff, and Call of Duty was the main stuff for this channel when it first started. But I'm going to start branching off of Call of Duty for a little bit. Call of Duty was good. I know when the DLC comes back, I will definitely be getting into that. But other than that, I'm probably going to step away from Call of Duty for a little bit. A game like this, Smite, can really bring a lot. It has a lot to offer. And there's some other games that have a lot to offer as well, so I'm definitely want to get into those before getting back into Call of Duty. Call of Duty is starting to get a little bit stale, and after a while, everyone has their opinions and stuff like that. So, again, I would definitely be getting into that, and as always, I'm Master RKO, and I will see you guys next time. Don't forget to subscribe. Bye!